So many of the copy and paste millionaire systems depend on software. The copy and paste millionaire uses software to build a business that runs when they are gone. It is built to leave. I started Copilot CRM 2 years ago, but I've never shared exactly how it got started. See, a private equity firm, they kind of messed stuff up, bought up the software company that we were using at Augusta Lawn Care. And the founders left, and basically it became like a subsidiary of a credit card processing company. And private equity started raising prices a bunch. It was like over $1,000 per month to get texting, automations, and a client portal from my one location. And honestly, that wasn't a big deal, because I believe that for admin, software is really the best dollar for dollar investment that you can have in the office. But they really only cared about securing our card processing fees because they were owned by a credit card processing company. They didn't really care about optimizing the software for me to run my business more efficiently. They hid behind walls of legal jargon, they abandoned the care for their owners, and they cut investments in their product development. Their best people left, they cut support, and they've been stuck between like version 2 and version 3 for over 5 years, stuck between apps, and like some people use it, some people don't, sometimes there's bugs and glitches, and like you kind of bounce back and forth. They failed to upgrade their servers and cloud infrastructure to meet modern demands. This creates a liability from a security perspective and the ability to be able to scale the business. Worst of all, the conference, the community, and camaraderie of members fell apart. What used to be their academy was turned into just nothing. It was no community. And the conference went from like 800 people and super tons of excitement to like less than 100 and just stale, and no one even went into the conference hall. In 2022, I actually spoke with their leadership team in Dallas, Texas. I told them that the vision of the software was unclear and the soul was gone. I told them if something didn't change, I would be forced to start my own software on behalf of Augusta Nation that needed software to run their business efficiently. Almost all of that leadership team that I spoke to has since left the company. Later on, they had attorneys contact me. They threatened to sue me if I didn't remove videos and my book, which mentioned their trademark. So that is how Copilot CRM started. And I knew starting that journey, it was going to be extremely difficult, 2 to 3 years, to be able to get caught up to where we could actually start building the systems required for this book to be possible inside of the software. But today, you get to see why Copilot was started. The systems in the book are not possible without software. The goal is to run the business without being on site. Automations, metrics, and dashboards aren't optional. They are the operating system. But many systems in the book were not easy to implement in other software programs. So over the past 2 years, I have been building the copy and paste millionaire systems into Copilot CRM. Sales systems, operation systems, admin systems. To ensure that the copy and paste millionaire systems are possible in 2026, we are making massive updates to Copilot CRM. Now, it's been longer than I had hoped to be able to get to this point. It's been a lot of recruiting and a lot of changing of the team and the code base, but we're making massive updates so that in 2026, every single system inside the copy and paste millionaire is possible using the software. This will enable the new operating system, this new way of running a home service business. Every system in the book will be made easy using the software. But first, I want to go over all the changes and additions that have been added to Copilot in 2025. Then I will share a very, very big announcement. So let's first off go over some of the new features that are inside of Copilot. In 2025, we reimagined a new customer portal with a mobile-first design because we realized that 80% or more of estimates are accepted on a mobile device. So it's got to be optimized for a small screen. Every page was rebuilt on a new code base for speed and reliability. For the tech nerds out there, we went from PHP to React. There you go. Other feature we got in 2025 was we rebuilt the tipping flow. We made it easy for customers to reward your crews for their hard work. We also built Field Force, a mobile app for technicians. It's very simple in terms of design. So when you're out in the field, it's not as clunky. It works offline. It's great. Sized buttons, the ability to be able for your crews out in the field, whether they have service or not, to be able to add notes, clock in and out, add media. Now let's talk about the features we built specifically to make the copy and paste millionaire systems possible. What I shared so far is some of the new features we added in 2025. But now let's talk about the features we added specifically so that the systems of the copy and paste millionaire are possible. All right, so some of the new features for the copy and paste millionaire method. Estimate declined reasons. In other words, when someone rejects an estimate, when they decline, they have to give me a reason why. Because if I know that and they say it's price, I might have another offer, I can get another swing at closing the deal. Every single estimate that clicks reject, they have to give a reason why. Also, command center login. The ability for multiple locations to have quick access between locations without having to log in and log out, log in and log out. Quick, easy access, single sign-in access. Another feature for the copy and paste millionaire specifically that we created was card on file requirements. They were integrated directly into the acceptance estimate flow. You'll never ask for a credit card again when you go into the settings inside Copilot and you check a box that says card required. If you do that, before they click accept, they have to put a card on file. That way, when you're notified that an estimate has been accepted, you already know you can put them on the schedule. No back and forth, no awkward conversations. Deposit thresholds were integrated directly into the estimate acceptance flow. No more back and forth, having a job in limbo you can't put on the schedule because you're waiting for a 50% deposit. You have a card on file, a deposit paid, and then when you're notified the estimate has been accepted, you can put it on the schedule and the money has already gone through. No more waiting, and have better cash flow. We added the pay in full feature. This allows loyal customers to pay up front with zero friction. If you have someone that values their time, they do not want to pay a second invoice after you complete the job. They'd rather just pay you in full because they've been with you for years and they know you do a great job. This is huge for your cash flow. Right next to where they're paying a deposit, there's just an option like, hey, we just want to pay the entire estimate total. And you'd be amazed at how many people select that option once they've done service with you for years in the past. Another feature we added so that the copy and paste millionaire can run their business without being there in person is getting your crews, managers, and customers on the same page using video. There's other software like Company Cam, for example, that does this really, really well. But it's expensive and it's another software package I have to use. We built this inside of Copilot where it builds in compression for up to 50 megabyte video files. That's over 10-minute videos that are high definition. So 720, it's like 12, 13 minutes you can put directly into Fieldforce. It compresses the file and it attaches it inside of the CRM. I can then download that and use that for a job. So I never have to set foot on the property. And best of all, I can do estimate videos, upsells, equipment repairs, and project updates without going back to the property, and no more link sharing. Like we used to upload it to WhatsApp, then hopefully 6 weeks later when we needed the video, it was still there, we could find it, or we'd put it into YouTube, but that would take 10 or 15 minutes, and then we have to share that link, and it's oh, it's unlisted versus private. It was a headache. I did it because it saved me going back to the property, but now with Fieldforce, having those estimate videos, valuable. Upsell videos that I can attach the video to the visit and the customers see that in the customer portal, or I download that and then send that to the customer. Either way, being able to do these upsells and even big project updates. If someone's out of town, you're doing a 3-week project at their house, the ability to make a quick video for 30 seconds at the end of each day with a project update and put it in the customer portal is very valuable. We also create infinite recurring visits with off seasons, so you never have to pause or restart services again. When you set up a recurring series, you just set up the event to happen every single week or every other week forever. And then it just automatically pauses during the off season. Because in the past, when we had 500 or 600 recurring series, we had to pause them all at the end of fall and then restart them all up again in spring. And inevitably, we'd forget a few jobs, and that led to unhappy customers and lost revenue. Now I want to introduce the team that made it all possible. So we're going to bring them on set here in just a second. I'm going to move this bad boy out of the way. We will come back to it. Everyone's going to get this, but I want to introduce the team that made all this possible and has made so many changes to the Copilot system that really allows the copy and paste millionaire method to be possible. So we're gonna be a little bit of transition here. So give us a moment here as we just kind of readjust the set, and they're gonna be coming on. I will introduce them all, but we're gonna bring a bit of a podcast style setup here for you on the live stream. And I wanna introduce a couple of you. Whoa, here we go. Okay, so we're gonna go over some of the new and upcoming features that are coming to Copilot to make sure that the copy and paste millionaire method that we have talked about is actually going to be possible. So let's get situated here. Boom. I want to introduce to you a few of them. This is Dan Blaisdell. He's our VP of Engineering. You can't see him. So there you go. Okay, fantastic. This is Dan. He's our VP of Engineering. He's come on in the past several months and is head of the engineering side of things. And then we got Josh Kale, our VP of Product, and we got Nathan, our VP of Design. So we're going to just hop in here, talk a little bit about what's been brewing at Copilot, but also what's to come in 2026 to make sure that everything we've launched in the book is actually possible inside of Copilot. So let's first talk about the waitlist. Let's first talk about what the waitlist is, what problem it solves, and then I want to go into kind of the gap that we saw when creating the waitlist that we've now solved that problem as well. So Nathan, as the design side of things, what were we hearing from our members in terms of the wait list, and what were they looking to do and solve in their workflow?
Yeah, it was absolutely the number one requested feature was like, we need a wait list. And the problem that people are having is that they know that this is an event that they need scheduled, but they don't know where it fits in their schedule. And we needed to give them a place, a holding ground to take care of this has been created and you can slot it into your schedule as you see fit. So that's what was the impetus for us creating the waitlist.
Got it. And so, like, what's an example of this happening in the real world? Like, an estimate gets accepted. Why would I need a waitlist? Is it a matter of like I don't know when it's going to go in the schedule, or it could be like weather dependent? When is this going to actually be used?
Yeah, those are all really valid use cases. It could be weather dependence. Could be something that doesn't fit into their regular day-to-day cadence. It could be like project work. Could be something where there isn't a critical need for this. You just want to get this work taken care of. The client isn't on a time crunch, so you just want to like have visibility into it. So when you have openings in your schedule, or your recurrings leave an open gap, or you have extra capacity for a given week, that you can kind of pull from this to supplement and fill up your schedule.
Now, as we were kind of looking at the wait list and hearing from our members, there started to become this gap. And I think what for a lot of us we in the past used to do is an estimate gets accepted. I'm going to go to the estimates page. I'm going to filter down the ones that are accepted. I'm going to click on that estimate. I'm going to see all the line items that were accepted, and then go into those and then schedule from there.
Yeah.
So when was it that you kind of realized there's this gap between an accepted estimate and the wait list? Because even if I'm throwing on the wait list, there's still this other thing.
Yeah.
What was that realization, and what did that manifest? And then I'll spoil it here, the unscheduled work side of things.
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah.
To be honest, it showed up when we started digging into what do people mean when they're asking for a wait list? Because a lot of people did need this holding ground that we created and is now our feature known as waitlist. Other people, what they really needed was to keep track of work that needed scheduled. And for those people, like you said, they do have an existing workflow where they can go to estimates, filter them by approved. Maybe they got the notification that there was newly approved, so they kicks off the workflow. They can look at the list and then estimate by estimate, dig in and make sure each of those list items on that estimate has been scheduled. And we thought that's a lot of friction. That's a lot of something you have to teach someone in office. And there should just be a place where you land and it can just tell you, here's everything that is approved to work on, but you got to put it on the schedule. And that's what gave birth to the unscheduled work.
In the Copy and Paste Millionaire, we talk a lot about creating systems so that the business can run without the owner there. And when it comes to admin and even operations, getting the work done, the sale's been taking place, but now we need to put this on the schedule. I started to really think about unscheduled work in a different way when you mentioned this. And as I come in on a Monday morning, there's 10 estimates accepted. As the owner, I need to explain to someone to get those on a schedule. In the past, I would say, okay, go to the estimate page, filter it down, click on each estimate, open up each line item, then open up another tab, look at your calendar, and figure out where you can put it on. Or just throw it on the wait list.
Yep.
I think the thing that made most sense to me is you're like, just go to the unscheduled work tab.
Yeah.
And from there, you can schedule.
Yeah, let Copilot do the heavy lifting for you. You know, you shouldn't have to be an expert to be able to step in on day one and be able to help meet your company's needs of like, I just got to get stuff onto the schedule that we know needs on the schedule. And this really delivers on that. So you don't have to have known all the rigorous technical details of like how to go to the estimate list, where to find them, what to filter for, how to check if the whole estimate is scheduled or just one of the items is scheduled. We really think that we can make the software do that thinking for you.
Now, we launched Unscheduled Work and Waitlist this week.
Yep.
What's on the horizon? Obviously, this is our minimum viable product. Right now, the waitlist handles one-time jobs, and we're working on multi-step programming and recurring jobs on the waitlist. What's to come for unscheduled work? What's that hole that we're kind of plugging right now? What's the potential of that in the future for the copy and paste millionaire that wants things done for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is really the start of engaging with that holistic practice of scheduling and getting the software to help you do that. This is a great first step in that it's surfacing it all in one place. One of the things you're still going to have to do is when you do this scheduling work, you might have to look at what are my current routes? How close are they in geography? What capacity do I have on any of those to be able to backfill additional space? If I have a new recurring mow, where does it fit into do I put it on Monday? Do I put it on Tuesday? And we know that there are places in the platform that give you an insight into that, mainly the dispatch board right now, also the schedule. And so what we're looking at in the future is to be able to bring in that context right alongside this. So can I see my map along this? Can I see my capacity? Can I see what routes are happening so that I can make an informed decision when I'm grabbing this newly approved work and trying to place it correctly on the schedule?
And more importantly, being able to give it to someone that might not be the owner, that has all that contextual knowledge.
Exactly.
Being able to make a good decision in terms of where that job should go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about save routes. This is on the dispatch board. This is a first step we've made in the direction of improving this page. Maybe you would walk me from a designer's perspective, what we're doing this page to make it as easy as possible for a dispatcher to dispatch quickly. Again, thinking from the admin perspective or the operations manager that's trying to do this quickly and efficiently, whether you're on the other side of the world or someone's doing it remotely for you. How are we trying to simplify this right now? And what's the first step of what save routes are in the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to take the designer hat off and just try to sit in the shoes of the person who has to come to the dispatch board and spends many hours there every day, there's a lot of tedious work. It's Monday and they know the recurring route they're setting their team up for success with, and they have to come in every Monday and like drag the first route to the first one, drag the second to the second, do all of that work. They know exactly what it needs to be, and they have to go through all the steps. And we didn't want them to have to keep doing that every Monday. So now when you set an order for a series of events, you're able to persist that order, you're able to save it for this week and every single week, or if you're working on a bi-weekly schedule, you can set it to save going forward in a bi-weekly manner.
So really just saving that optimization every single day for the same general route. What's some of the improvements even in 2026 that we're working on around save routes and even making that more concrete?
Yeah, so it returns to kind of the same thing that we had spoken about prior, is trying to bring in the context of other things to codify what your routes are. So being able to, on that dispatch board, not only persist the route, but maybe build out more truly what a route is. Does this belong to one crew? Does this belong to a specific type of work? Does it have a limit in terms of like, for this crew, I can only work up to 20 hours of capacity? Can you help me, Copilot? You know all of the information of the events that are here. Can you draw me a smart route? Can you try to, here's my rough geographic area. Can you do the work of putting these in order and optimizing for whether it's traffic patterns or weather conditions? How can we take that lift off of the admin people and just have you feed into the system the things you know and have it respond with an answer to the problem you have?
And even one of the basic things this week that we put out was on the dispatch board that I really like is the ability to edit the route from the map instead of going down to the list always.
Absolutely.
And even seeing the driving pattern, like one of the most frustrating things as a dispatcher is I click optimize and I know that's not the most optimal route, but now to be able to see where is it actually thinking you should be driving in terms of the roads and then being able to work off of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that's gone into making that map more responsive with information that is just a little further down the page as you're scrolling. So making sure the selection is consistent, making sure the routing is consistent, and making sure that you can make those changes that you used to have to make only, like I'm going to make a selection and then go down to the list and change the order. Now being able to do that from the route view. So again, very similar of trying to bring in multiple contexts or multiple ways to slice the same information so that you get the tools you need to do your problem solving.
And I think like all of these features that we talked about so far really parlay into the idea that admin is an overhead cost to the business.
Absolutely.
Every minute that we spend dispatching or trying to collect payment or do anything besides doing the work and making money is overhead cost to the business. So instead of routing something 5 times in a week, if I can do it once, I effectively have reduced the cost of routing by 80%.
Yeah.
So let's move on. I want to go on the engineering side, Dan, and talk just a little bit about the speed, the reliability, some of the changes we've made. I know in the past, Copilot has had issues and bugs, and we've moved through that because of the team. But from your perspective and your experience, what's sort of been the improvements that you've made on the engineering backend?
Yeah, so we're covering a lot of areas. Reducing bug counts, just making the software more stable in general. But as we get past that, we can start looking at both new features, like we were just discussing, as well as just optimizing what's already there and just trying to increase the speed. So, I actually personally have created a dashboard for myself that shows me anytime a page load or a query goes over 1 second, and I just track that, and I track it. What are the most recent ones that are actually happening in the system right now? How can we reduce those and cut those down? We want the worst case scenario to be a query taking 1 second, if that can be possible, and I think we're getting closer and closer to that.
What was the worst case? Like when you first came in, do you remember the worst case?
You know we're live, Mike.
I've seen some taking 60 seconds, or like timing out.
Is that usually dispatch board? Like because there's so much.
Yeah, related to events. So some companies that have been around a while, especially if you're doing recurring events, there can be tens of thousands of events. Also, you have SMS. If a company is heavily using text conversations, there can just be a big backlog. So depending on the page that you're loading, there can just be a huge scan of a giant data set, and it's just not optimized. So we look at that, and we look at exactly how is that data being loaded, how can we make that faster. So I think tracking real cases, too, everything can be theoretical, but I can see what was the slowest thing, how do we speed that up. So, and all of this translates into someone's actual experience with using the site. It translates into a company's numbers, their business, their efficiency. So, if you can save someone a second every time they load a page, that adds up across the company. That can be, we were calculating like rough numbers for a company that could add up to, $1,000 in labor time, saved just by increasing the speed.
Yeah, we looked at it kind of like how many times someone actually opens up the Field Force app, actually interacts, and then your admin team, like every day our admin team out here, probably thousands of page loads. So if I can shave off a second or two of each page load, effectively that's cutting down my overhead, or out in the field, allowing my team to stay doing work, not waiting for a page to load.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I want to bounce it over to you, Josh. Those of you who might have been at Blue Collar Summit have already met Josh. He joined kind of very early on in our transition out of bug hell. And I wanted to pass it to you in terms of what I believe is really the core as to what the biggest improvements have been over the past couple of years, which is adding the skill and the depth on the team, bringing the right people on the bus. Speak to that maybe,
Sure.
and even I know we have our org chart and there's so many names even beyond this in terms of support and the non-technical roles, but maybe walk me through your experience from that perspective.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to build a team that has decades of experience in this domain, in home services and small businesses and marketing tech. You're looking at a couple of them here, but a lot of the team that's been built has also, contacts that we've known, right? So Nathan had a number of, front-end engineers and designers that he was aware of. Dan has also brought in, a number of contacts that he have. One of the really, special things though is that there was a really good core team to start, right? Like we weren't starting from zero. We had really good design, a really good product, really good support and operations. So we've just been building off that. Really, really excellent team. Really excited to be part of it.
I think that's ultimately the difference between even 2 years ago, we were looking at the other day, like it's almost 2 years ago exactly from the Black Friday when I said, hey, like join Copilot. At the time, I think I looked back, I think within a matter of 30 days, we tripled user base. And that's when we had all the bugs, the back end started to just melt, and we had so many problems. And the day that started changing was when we started having the right people, the right team, and just the high caliber of individuals that we have.
Yeah, I've said that before, but I think when I came in, I started initially doing some consulting for the business. I just realized you needed more gray hair. You needed to have people who have experience and battle tested, who've kind of been in the trenches. And again, just the collective experience. We have like a really interesting opportunity because of like a confluence of a couple of different things. The labor market and the tech space has taken a big hit. So there's been a lot of really good talent that's looking for new opportunities, and also that combined with your incredible vision, it's been really compelling. I don't want to speak for these guys, but that was why I joined. I wanted to work for someone that had a really clear vision of where we're going, and I've worked at companies where we didn't have that, and so I think that your vision with just the opportunity in the labor market really has allowed us to build a pretty killer team moving forward.
One thing that I've already talked about a little bit in the live stream, and seeing private equity move into this world so much. Obviously, the dollar bills, especially during 2021, 2022, were just off the charts. So much private equity moved in, venture capital, et cetera. All three of you, I think, experienced that to some degree in your previous positions. One thing you said yesterday really caught my attention, Dan, and that was about the other architectures in home services, but even the CRM world at this size that are serving our audience, home service business owners. What is your perspective from an engineering perspective? Because I see even the software we used to use before building Copilot, just not adopting a lot of the new cloud-based architecture that's required to scale and allow us to tap into tools like we've already started talking about, like waitlist, et cetera. What is your perspective from an engineer's perspective on that topic?
Yeah, with a lot of these industries, you have a lot of these kind of incumbent softwares that were built, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they're just using really outdated technologies, technologies that were kind of, I think, started in the budding, days of the internet. And you've got these systems where might even be not to get too technical, but you're actually just running an actual server, and that server has all of your files on it, and it's just one thing. And if that thing were to go down, everything goes down. And in today's world, that's just that's unthinkable. But there could still be a lot of legacy systems that are using things like that, and just using technologies that it's just really easy to break. And so companies get really afraid to innovate, because as soon as you change something, you're breaking something. So the cost of innovation is really high. And then you also look at the speed of innovation. So like we were talking about with time saved, with page loads. Well, I think in developer time, what's the cost of the technologies that you're using? How fast can a developer do their job? And so something like Josh was mentioning, we've all done this before. We know how a team should operate. I was just talking with Nathan before this about when you first start your career, even in the first 5 years, there's a lot of questions about, well, we could do it this way. We could do it this way. And over time, you really develop strong answers to those questions. And so I think this is a team that we kind of know what we're doing. We know how it can operate. And we know how it can operate with current technologies. So we're trying to optimize how fast can we innovate so that, we were talking about this, we can move at the speed of thought. So as soon as we come to a decision, Nathan comes with good designs, we can implement that. And we can do it in a way we're not afraid that as soon as we do that, it's going to break everything. Mm-hmm. So I think you have a lot of these old companies that are just completely tripping on themselves with, they don't want to touch anything because they're going to break something. The technologies, they don't trust them. And they're just going to stay on that, whatever the hosting technology or whatever it is that they're on, because they don't want to innovate because it kind of works, and so they're going to make as much money as they can just off of that model until it dries up. But that's kind of the paralysis that I think really impacts a lot of these industries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one thing I found really interesting, what you're talking about the other day too, is the ability for us to switch even from an older architecture like PHP, for example, to React. Mm-hmm. And that's just a code base. There's a name. It's a language, whatever. But I think the reason I'm really happy is because with waitlist, with unscheduled events, it's the first part of the CRM that's being touched by this new technology. Mm-hmm. And it is showing what's possible as we go into 2026, as we go to the estimate lists and every other aspect of the CRM. And then we've obviously throughout 2025 first looked at the client portal, and I've already talked about this, and the payments and making that architecture solid on this new platform. Mm-hmm. But can you speak to the importance of doing that now? And obviously it's a painful process of just swapping everything over, but allowing us to, once it's done, not only be bug-free like we are right now with the customer portal and all that work, but also allow us to iterate much faster and move much faster in the future.
Yeah, and we're really proud that the customer portal and the new Field Force app, our average intake of bugs every week is 0. We're just not, we're not spending our time managing fire drills around those apps right now. Now, there might still be rough edges or things that come in that we want to react to or change or improve or do follow-ups, but we're just not spending all of our own resources trying to fix bugs. But yeah, going beyond that, I think we're laying a foundation for all the technologies that allow us to actually, it's almost like a language, a coding language, but being able to express the app that we want, easily, and have that be created. And so, again, on the design team, if they're able to put together a framework for here's how the buttons are, here's how the tables are, here are all these design patterns, we now have all those Legos, so we can kind of assemble and reassemble them for each page in the product. And that takes some time. There is some risk in something like that, but doing it in technology that allows that expressiveness and also is really stable by its nature. So with things like React, TypeScript, some of the technologies we're using, a lot of times if you put in something that's going to break, it's flagged. It turns red. Like as a developer, you're typing it in, and if it's wrong, it just tells you. You're not finding out. Your users aren't telling you.
Yeah.
With PHP, so many things just about that technology. You're finding out when someone calls you, and so much of this is now front loaded. And so I think as we're putting all these frameworks in place, the design language in place, there was a little bit of a ramp up, but I think we're actually just starting to get to momentum, and I don't even think we're at our full momentum yet.
Yeah, I agree. Even in the past week or two, just the speed at which we release, make iterations, make improvements, releasing the Spanish side of things for the field force, just so many little improvements because now the road is in place for us to go faster on.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to get a mobile app out. Just the approvals for these stores. There is a little bit of just doing that and breaking into it, but now we've got this machine moving. We've got all that process, and now we can do these releases, every day if we need to, and without a lot of fear that we're bringing everything down, every time we make a change, so we can do those incremental improvements.
Absolutely, and it's been really exciting. One of the things that has been brought to mind as we've been talking through this and getting excited for this Black Friday launch is that this actually is the first time that we're bringing a fully revamped and modern experience into the CRM. We've been working on so many different things that the differentiation of where it actually lands for any of our end customers maybe wasn't drawn to me. And the idea that we've invested so heavily in stabilizing our foundation so that what we're building on now can run at full speed, that we have a system that can grow with us and not break.
I love it. I want to pull back the curtain a little bit and talk about what's coming this next year. We've talked about waitlist, unscheduled work, field force. So much has been delivered this past year. And now as we're entering into the CRM side of things, let's talk about some of the features that are on the horizon. I want to talk about something that's so core to how the copy and paste millionaire thinks, and that is I get the estimate to the customer as fast as possible. Now, in the perfect world, I'd be able to do it over the phone, or I'd be able to not have to go in person. There are some projects, if it's a $50,000 job, I have to show up in person, or at least do a drive-by. Now, these are the ways I can give an estimate. This is one of the pictures inside of the book. But there are times I need to meet the customer, go over the scope of work, see exactly what is included. I'll take a video. I'll make sure it's attached to my Field Force app so I don't have to come back. But getting that information from budget hours, yards of material, all the different components and supplies that go into the job to a dollar amount that's shown on an estimate that a customer clicks accept or reject on, there's a gap there, and we recognize that. Nathan, can you speak to kind of that estimator's dilemma, as we call it?
Yeah.
And then maybe from the back end, talk about the pricing and how we're kind of marrying that. I'm sending an estimate, but getting it to the customer as fast as possible instead of on the weekend I will work on this project of 3 hours of compiling my spreadsheets and getting this quote put together.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, there's this estimator's dilemma, and there is what we're calling the price book as a new feature set, and those two kind of play very directly with each other. The items and services that we have in the platform right now, they do allow you to explicitly, build out pricing for your items, your materials, your labor, all of those things. But you are kind of hamstrung in the way that you end up presenting those to your potential customers. On an estimate, everything's publicly visible, right? You can't have, hey, here's how we model the world internally, and then I want to hide some of that, and so that I can just show a nice, pretty estimate to someone who I'm trying to convert to be a customer.
I'll show you the hedge installation.
Exactly.
But behind that, I have 24 arborvitae, 6 budget hours, 3 yards of soil, etc.
Exactly. So these two problems are very interrelated. And to the price book of it all, we needed to give them a really accurate set of tools to manage the pricing models for each of those. Labor scales differently than those materials versus items that you have a cost and a quantity to, and you're counting down and trying to keep track of the inventory. And we also need to allow you to model that world and that pricing realistically and accurately so you can recall it once you have it modeled. You don't have to do this every single time, but then also give you the power in your estimating workflow to be like, I did all of this modeling of the world, but I'm going to roll it up into this one nice little, like you said, here's this project for hedge trimming. And like, that's all they see. And it's the next time I do that project, I'm just pulling back up the existing price book work or price modeling that I've done ahead of time.
And ultimately saving so much time because our goal is to put it on the mobile app.
Absolutely.
So as the estimator, I'm walking the property, I'm tapping my buttons of how many arborvitae, how much soil, how many budget hours, and boom, there's the price, and I can send it versus pushing it up to tonight doing.
Yeah, right when you're on site. Like this should not be something that's limited that you got to call, even if you have to go through the, further back in the turtle and hair analogy, like you have to do an in-person because you got to you can't just use the satellite and draw thing. You got to go look at it, but you don't have to call back to home base to be like, go put these things into the system. Even if you had a good pricing model, you should be able to complete that estimate right there, show it to the customer. Hey, here's what we're looking at. Do you want to go ahead and close on this estimate so we can get you on the books?
Absolutely. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. I mean, I think this all speaks to why I'm excited to be at this company. I think in general, like we were talking about earlier, like coming in, being at a company where the owner owns the company, knows the business, is really involved, and a company where you've got this top-notch product team, and we're actually able to listen to customers. So I have a lot of credit to Josh and for setting up meetings with customers where we can actually talk, find out how they're doing things. We want to make the process as efficient as possible, but we've also been sitting down with customers and having them show us how, the users of the software, show us how you're doing this. And I think in some cases, the software it wasn't modeling their pricing the way that they're actually doing it. And so anytime we see that a customer of our software has to sit and build a spreadsheet with all their pricing, kind of model everything outside of the system, and then input just
the dollar amount.
Dollar amount, lawn mowing, and they're doing that, on every estimate separately or whatever. We want to actually sort of do our best to model what's happening in the real world without overcomplicating the software. So we're trying really hard to find the right match of, budget hours is so important. For that size yard, what's the best way to estimate the budget hours, the materials, whatever it may be. So I think those conversations they've led to a lot of really productive, perspective for us where we're like looking at exactly what's happening and seeing how we can streamline that.
That's for projects, right? So like the price book being able to take what I think as an estimator in terms of components and materials and supplies and 3 feet of pipe and all this thing and compile it as quick as possible to get a price to the customer, but on the back end have more information, more data, better pricing information. For recurring jobs, the simple, fast way that we want to be able to get an estimate is over the phone. I don't have to go visit the property in person. Ideally, I actually do it instant quote form on my website, and the customer just puts their card information, selects exactly their prices, they click accept. That's going to go on the unscheduled work tab, and I will put it on the schedule. Let's walk through the fact that I think this is actually something I've talked about for years. We've used this at Augusta for years, and that is the instant quote forms. This is something that we're looking at in 2026 and trying to infuse into the software now that we have the rails of unscheduled work and wait list and the architecture to be able to support this. Talk to me a little bit from your perspective, Nathan, about the instant quote forms and the value you see, and then from the design perspective, and then also from a customer's perspective, what is this problem that we're trying to solve?
Yeah, so instant quote really builds on what currently exists as work requests, and work requests, help top of funnel. They're a little bit blunt in terms of it's a one size fits all. You can't create different work requests depending on different customer type or different seasonality, and you really don't get much beyond here's a big text field, tell us what you want. Which is better than nothing, but this feature set of Pricebook being able to accurately model the world how you understand it, for whether it's for a project job and it's very particular, or it's, hey, here's our lawn mowing, here's how it scales depending on size, and we can kind of set those pricing rules and we know how that works. Now that you can model that, you can create an external facing intake for that allows customers to self-select, include their payment information, and get all the way past having to deal with a customer service representative to get a price quote, to request a service on a particular day.
And I think one thing you point out is really good. The work request form, we have it in Copilot now, right? There's limitations in the design. Some people will go design their own in Jot form or another tool, paper form, and then put that on their website. I think the thing that I see so many times is even when we look at instant quote forms and the conversion, because ultimately when I send someone to my website, I am focused on how many of those people just give me their information to give them a quote.
Yep.
That's traditionally my conversion rate. When we look at instant quotes, about 3% of people drop off when we ask for their address, because it's implied that you need to know my address in order to give me a price.
Yep.
It is 30% drop off on a quote or a form that does not say I'm going to give you a price, because I don't want to give you my personal information. And so little things like this, we've noticed even Augusta across tens of thousands of instant price forms, that is so powerful for these simple recurring jobs that can be done over the phone, or that can be done ideally instant quotes, because ultimately I'm trying to save the time of someone on the phone or an estimator going and visiting the property. And better than anything, it works 24/7.
Yep.
They get a card on file and I'm off to the races. From a customer's perspective and what you've seen from our members, why has this been important for their workflow to save admin time, reduce the amount of calling people back? You can't get the wrong phone number was submitted on the form, all this other stuff that we run into.
Yeah, one of the big competitive advantages we have is that Augusta is our sister company. And so you guys have been kind of spearheading this on your own, kind of cobbling together a couple of different technologies. And we've been able to kind of learn and observe. And I think we're going to be picking out the really key pieces of how do we keep this extraordinarily simple. And one of the reasons this is shown after Pricebook is because Pricebook is going to be what ultimately enables, these forms. So, as a user in Copilot, going to be able to set up a form that's very simple. Here's my few different services, and the form is up. And having the capability to add or remove fields, based on the reporting that you're getting back, and just having these really simple, really straightforward, right native in the platform, so you're not having to use, like you said, paper form or other tools.
One thing I was calculating the other day with a group of owners that came in, we were calculating the real cost of closing a job. Everyone thinks of customer acquisition cost as the cost of the ads to get the customer, but really you're paying for traffic to get to your site. And submit a form, hopefully. One thing that is not taken into account is the fact if I'm doing drive-by, if I go back, if I'm doing a drive-by for every, let's just call it mowing, a recurring job, let's just say I have 10 estimates and 6 of them get accepted. Well, let's go half, 5 of them get accepted. That means if I drive for 35 minutes, 40 minutes to go visit one property, I've got to multiply that by 10. That's how long I am spending to get 5 new jobs.
Right.
And so when we actually calculated, we looked at the fact that by the time you look at admin time, someone calling, then estimator going out and driving, visiting the property, then coming back, putting together the quote, sending it out, waiting, doing follow-up 5 times, then getting their card information afterwards. We looked at around $95 was the cost of a lawn service, if accepted, because of all the people that didn't accept, and just the drive time, the admin time. And what we found was even more key was the type of customer that signed up at an instant quote versus the type of person that was kicking the tires, asking for the quote, just because they submitted their information on a form.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the real power of the instant quotes, and then being able to have that directly integrated into Copilot to where the card information comes across. Because I've always said, until someone gives you money, it's just a bunch of digits on a screen.
Right.
I want their card information so I can ding that card as soon as I show up and not worry about overdue invoices, payments that I am owed but not getting paid.
Yep.
So
Card come in and in a format that's ready to come through.
translate.
It's already ready to create the job. It's already an estimate form. I think that's
that's a good
such a
point.
big part of it.
It's not saving the drive time, but it's saving that clerical work. That inbound being valuable and low friction is so important that you guys have invested in Augusta so much time honing that, but you're still paying the cost of, we have to take this high-performing form, we have to take what it's told us and then go put it into Copilot. And there's just a multiplicative value of being able to have Copilot own that information based on all of the pricing work that you've poured in. So if your prices ever change, your inbound form changes, and as that information comes in, it's already got your pricing.
yeah, and I spoke to it earlier in the live stream, and that is in the past, if I get accepted recurring job, I want a card on file. Well, the very first email I'm sending to someone after they accept a regular estimate, not instant quote, is, hey, I need your card information. Give me money.
Yep. Right.
That email is going to spam, and there's a likelihood, there's a drop-off period that people don't take into account. They accepted my estimate. Good, my close rate is good.
Yeah.
But what percentage of those people never actually gave you a card and you never did service for them? And there's a drop-off period. And even if it's 5 or 10%, it's too much. Versus just being you want it this? Great. give me your card information, and then I only get notified once that card information on file, estimate's accepted, I know their pricing, I have all the information, and that makes things much smoother on the admin side.
It does a great job of weeding out, like you said, the tire kickers. They're saying, here, I believe in you, I'm ready to give you money, even if they're not paying on the form.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you all for being here on the live stream. The entire team, I know there's so many of us that are working on the design, product, and the engineering side, but thank you, big thank you to all three of you. I think anyone that was watching 2 years ago, I went back, we had like 300 people on that live stream, and I was like, guys, this is the time to join Copilot, and it's been 2 years since I've been able to do that, and able to say, like, this is a great platform for you to move your business into. The future of it is actually, like, one thing, our values at Augusta is constant improvement, and I think the thing that when I look at Copilot is, it is not necessarily the best platform at every single aspect of the platform now, but the rate at which we're moving and where the future of the company is going is something I can confidently tell everyone, like, this is the ship you want to be on, and I'm really thankful for all of you giving me that confidence to be able to do that. So,
Thank you, man.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you.
Nice.
All right, let's clear out of here, move out, we'll keep moving forward in the live stream. Give them a little clap session in the chat there. Thank you, guys. Get this table out of the way. Another microphone here. There you go. Nice table here. Fantastic. All right. All right, let's continue on here. So I know I alluded to it a little bit with the team. Here, I'll move that microphone for you. Here. All right, so Copilot CRM got a bad name from bug hell. We went through 2024. And I kind of alluded to it with the team. But a lot of people in the community tried it, and they got burned. A lot of you did, especially the larger companies. Some stayed, and I really do appreciate it. And others left, and I completely understand, especially for the larger companies that were doing 2-3 million plus in revenue. There was a lot of issues because of so many people got in, and just the amount of bugs that came as a result of spammers getting in and sending out millions of emails. And we had open gate for free users and just demolishing so many elements of deliverability. It was bad, and we worked through our way in that in 2024. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone that did stay. It made it possible to hire the people and bring on the team that you've just seen, and the rest of the team, over 30, 40 people brought onto the team to make it what it is today. And so I just want to say thank you. But Copilot is not the same company today as it was 2 years ago. We have a new team, and you met some of them, a new code base, and we need to turn the page and start to write the next chapter. I want to give you a little bit of background. So I registered the name Copilot Software LLC in summer of 2022. Well, just a few months later, in October 2022, ChatGPT 3 was released. That's really when AI started to become like a buzzword and popular in the common vocabulary of most people. Copilots started popping up everywhere, whether it be Breeze, which is inside of HubSpot, and then there's actually a video of Jobber versus Copilot. That Copilot logo is not ours. That is actually from Microsoft, because Microsoft released Copilot and Copilot.com in 2023. So very confusing. People started slapping AI on everything. Just as like, if you just slap AI on your logo or .ai, immediately your valuation was more. And it was mostly to impress investors, increase their valuation, get their next round of funding from private equity. Now, I want to be clear, AI is very important and useful when it comes to software and building systems, but it does not do the rugged work that home service demands every day. When I started the company, when I started Copilot, the word Copilot was meant to be the second pilot in a plane, the sidekick, the helper, the guide, the person that allows you to be able to fly the plane safely. But it became synonymous with artificial intelligence. It became politicized, debated. It killed many jobs, whether it be white-collar jobs or even blue-collar jobs and entry-level positions. So I waited. I didn't want to change the name without having a specific purpose. It needed to be fundamentally different. I wanted to feel like a tool used by home service business owners every day, that did the hard work that they were used of doing. It worked hard, it was battle tested and reliable, and most of all, it was dependable. It needed to represent the grit and strength of the tradespeople that use it every day. I started thinking about what represented all of this. I asked, what do owners rely on when the going gets tough? A chain. A chain is more than steel. It's trust. In home services, a chain is rugged. Here, I'll show you. I got you one. A chain is reliable, dependable, and built to carry heavy loads without fail. No weak spots, no missing links. This is actually extremely heavy. Goodness gracious. When a truck is broken down, when a mower is stuck in the mud, when a load needs to be secured, we use a chain. So I want to demonstrate something real quick. All right, so now this is, you could say this is a chain. Could carry some weight. It has a little bit of strength to it. It could carry something, I'm sure, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred pounds. And you're like, well, I want to upgrade. I want to get real links. I don't want to just have like a cord looking thing. Okay, well, we can upgrade to this plastic chain. And I'm sure it could pull something. Might not want to tow like a car with it, but it certainly has some strength to it. And as I look at, what Copilot's been in the past, and even other softwares that we've used, like they have functionality. They have the dependability of pulling small loads, but you're like, well, I want metal chain. I want links in a metal chain. Can someone come here? I want to show this actually. Thanks, Stephen. This is a chain, but I want to show you, here, can you hold this? Just hold it like, there you go. Even in times when, if you got a truck stuck, you're not going to use this little thing to try to pull yourself out of the mud. But let's see what this does. He was worried about OSHA violations. He needs some glasses. But it can still be cut. Thank you, that's all I need. Oh, actually, you know what? Here, let's try this. Let's use the real big chain. Let's use this one. Like, this thing is actually, I already know this because we tried to cut this at Lowe's and they couldn't even cut the chain. But it's impossible to cut this because it's dependable, it's reliable, it's rugged. Thank you, that's all I needed. Thanks, man. And so, the chain really represented everything I wanted from what I thought Copilot needed to be. And so this is a chain. You can see here on the logo, this is a chain. There's 3 links. And if you look at, this is what you see on the screen is just this. Here, I'll go to this screen here. Can you cut this one? Those 3 links, there, right there. Those 3 links. And it has 3 links because, as we talked about in the Copy and Paste Millionaire, there's 3 departments to every home service business: sales, operations, and admin. And if these 3 departments have a strong connection, the business becomes unbreakable. And I present to you a new reimagined brand for Copilot CRM. Because in the past, we've done a little bit. We've been reliable, we've been useful to some degree, but it was able to be severed. It was able to be cut. It wasn't as reliable as we would want. So a new reimagined brand for Copilot CRM. I present the operating system that allows the Copy and Paste Millionaire to be used. I present to you Homeworks. Homeworks links sales, operations, and admin. Grow without breaking. Because that's truly what Homeworks is built to do. And that's why the Copy and Paste Millionaire in the book, and what we're trying to do by getting 100,000 of these copies out in the hands of business owners, is to allow you to grow your business without breaking mentally, without your family being broken apart, without relationships, the physical, your knees, your shoulders, because you don't have the systems in the business for it to run without you. Financially broken. So many business owners. I see thousands of home service business owners and their profit and loss statements and their balance sheets, and they have no money, and yet they work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. The ability to be able to grow without breaking spiritually. The ability to create connections with your family, with those that you love, with your community, and not let your business pull you away from those things. Sales, operations, and admin. All connected so you can grow without breaking. Home.works. Works is the URL, so home.works. It's available now, and you can join today at Copilot CRM. We're going to keep the Copilot CRM until spring 2026. So if you go to home.works, you'll see a landing page. It's going to take you back over to Copilot CRM for now. But in spring 2026, we'll be completely moving over all the branding, the entire brand of Copilot CRM over to Homeworks. Now, we are going to have a deal for just today if you sign up for the enterprise level membership. And so if you go to the pricing page on copilotcrm.com, you'll see this. Again, the Homeworks branding will all happen next spring. That's when we make the official change over. For now, we're really just focusing on developing the best feature set for going into Spring Rush. All right, so the deal for today and for this weekend is going to be if you sign up for the enterprise level membership on Copilot CRM, second thing I need you to do is complete the 12-point onboarding checklist. So it's like set up your logo, set up your payments, import your customers, do that 12-point checklist. And then the third thing is you're going to get your first month refunded and one more extra free month. All right, so sign up like normal through the enterprise level. You'll get that first month refunded as well as the next month. So you could look at it as like all of December, all of January, completely free. So that's 2 months for free. And if you look at the value of that, it's over $500 in value. Again, completely free. You get text messages, emails, the wait list, automations, everything we've talked about today, no limits. And you can cancel anytime with one click. So even if you do get those 2 free months and it's not for you, you can cancel very easily. So here's my suggestion, and take it or leave it. I recommend you sign up, get the refund by doing the 12-point onboarding checklist, and get the next month free. That gives you all of December, all of January for free. I would recommend send one text message to all of your customers, all right? And in that text message, I don't recommend making some big promotion that has dollars and cents in it and big, long, just make it really, really personal. And promote one service. So maybe it's fall cleanups, maybe it's spring cleanups, maybe it's snow plowing, maybe it's Christmas lights, whatever your service is for this time of year, promote one service that your customers are currently asking for and do it in a personal tone. Don't make it super promotional. And this is my recommendation because I genuinely believe if you take advantage of these next 2 months for free, you send out a text message, just one text message to all of your customers and promote one service with a personal tone, it'll pay for itself. This is an example from just last week where my general manager from the local shop, and this is actually a text message to me because I am on their list, one of my rental properties they service. And so I got this text message. It says here, "Hi Mike, Tim here, and the leaves are falling, and so are service deals. Augusta is booking fast for November cleanups, including leaf hauling, gutters, and final mows. If you need this or any other service, reply with yes and any details, and I will do a drive-by estimate." This is coming from Copilot CRM to thousands of people inside of my location's database. So this is the actual example, some screenshots from the text message that went up. That's the same one I just read to a customer, and they're responding back, just texting right back, asking for service. Now, here's the results. This is after 24 hours of sending out the messages. So there's very high likelihood that in day 2, day 3, day 4, there was more, probably double or triple, but just within 24 hours of sending the message, here's what we got. 100 plus responses, 53 estimates were sent out from people wanting to say, hey, I want an estimate. 15 one-time jobs were sold, and 3 recurring services were sold. Okay, so 18 out of 53, that's about a 30% close rate. Again, these are costing you absolutely $0 in terms of customer acquisition costs. There's no ads, they're just in our database, and we send them a text message. So in 24 hours, this location generated $7,600 of one-time cleanups. They're doing the fall cleanup thing. And also got 3 recurring services, which on average is around $200 per month. So an extra $600 per month. This is in 24 hours. Again, let alone day 2, day 3, day 4. Probably a doubling or tripling of that amount over the course of just a few days. 53 estimates. What would your business do if in one text message, within 24 hours, you get 53 estimates from your customers for free and get 18 accepted jobs within 24 hours? Here's an example. These are, once an estimate is accepted, this is his inbox, just all the estimates getting accepted within the first 24 hours of sending out a text message. Now, the text messages for this event, this live stream that you've participated in, the text messages that I sent out to all of you had a 98% open rate within 24 hours and 32% click-through rate. That's the text messages. Now, email messages for this event had a 38% open rate and a 2% click-through rate. That's crazy. Let's go back. Text messages, 98% open rate, which means Almost everyone opened it up, and almost a third, 32% of people clicked on the link that I was sharing. The email message, this is all of you that I sent out for this live stream. And I added this out just yesterday. 38% open rate, so less than half, and only a 2% click-through rate. The same exact message, one on email, one on text message. So the fastest way to increase your close rate by 20%, the fastest way to triple your response rate to upsell marketing messages like the one that Tim sent for fall cleanups. What's the fastest way to do that? Send text messages instead of emails. And text messages are so fundamentally at the core of what Copilot does. Copilot is one of the only home service CRMs that allow for mass text messages without third-party integrations. So inside of the system, without having to plug it into something else or go to a different software and have another subscription, it's all in one place and you can do mass text to tens of thousands of customers. For example, my location, the one I was just showing you, has 14,000 contacts. If I remember correctly, about 9,000 of them have a cell phone number. Okay. So one mass text message from MailChimp, so if I had a third-party integration from something like Jobber or another software, if I was using MailChimp to send out text messages, it would have cost me between $310 and $540. And if you're gonna go price check me, that's fine. Just realize that when they say per text credit or SMS credit, most of these messages that we send out are between 3 and 5 credits per text message that we send out from Copilot, based upon the length and based upon how long the offer is. So this month, so if you're gonna use the offer today for the Black Friday deal, and my recommendation is to get your first month refunded, you can probably do your onboarding checklist in a matter of a day. Get the first month refunded, get your second month for free, and then a couple accepted jobs from this text message blast that you can send in the first week, that will pay for the rest of your subscription inside of Copilot for all of 2026. So if you've seen the systems that we've talked about in the Copy and Paste Millionaire, and I truly believe that Copilot, soon to be Homeworks, is the best tool to make those implemented in your business without you having to duplicate and create them yourself or cobble together different software and forms and all of these things that we're building, make it the easiest to build a business that you can leave. And so I've done this to be able to make sure that over the next couple months, just one text message, you could send a second text message, send them for free from Copilot during December and be able to get the rest of the value for 2026 in terms of the cost of joining the software. You can get all of that with a matter of just 1 or 2 text messages. But wait, there's more. Copilot has a 365-day money-back guarantee when you join the enterprise level. This is something that we've had for a while. And this is the actual guarantee. You can go to the website, you can click on copilotcrm.com/guarantee, and you'll see this. I guarantee that your revenue or profit will increase by at least 10% within 1 year of using the Copilot CRM enterprise level subscription. If your tax returns show this wasn't accomplished, and you cancel your subscription, I will refund all of your first year dues. 365 days to use Copilot, implement the copy and paste millionaire systems inside the software, and I am that confident that you will grow your business both in revenue and in profits. Not one other single home service software offers this guarantee, not one single one. Let alone pretty much any software, honestly. I can't think of a single one. So the Black Friday deal, you must sign up before midnight December the 3rd. All right, today's Friday. You got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. On December the 3rd, that's next Wednesday, you gotta sign up before then and then complete your onboarding checklist, those 12 steps, by January 1st. So it gives you about a month to figure out the 12-point checklist for getting onboarded. So you got an entire month, and I'll give you your first month refunded as well as your next month, January, for free. Once you finish the 12-point onboarding checklist, the support team will automatically reach out to you for the refund and the free month. So you're not gonna have to harass the team like, I finished the checklist. You will finish the checklist. They will then go and validate each of those things and make sure you did each of those, and they'll reach out to you for the refund and the free month.